We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm forgetting where I am for a moment. My name is Sarah Troy, and I have Sarry Ibrahim here today to talk about finances, but not just financing, thinking like a bank. He's a founder of the financial asset protection and financial services firm that focuses on one sole concept, the bank on yourself concept. Very interesting one. Infinite banking is how he helps business owners and real estate investors grow more wealth over time. He helps owners and real estate investors grow safe and predictable wealth without worrying about market conditions. He also helps clients protect their assets from various risks like credit risks. Part of the strategy that he uses is changing your mindset when it comes to money. His motto is to think like a bank, which is why he named his podcast Thinking Like a Bank. He's a financial specialist, private money lender, real estate investor, member of the Bank of Yourself organization, and he helps business owners and everyone else help grow their own product, their own market with a proper financial strategy. And he's helped people for a really long time. So let's actually look at how we can actually stabilize ourselves in our business and really look at the market changes all the time.
Mhm.
Business and banking practices change all the time. People are out there who are a solopreneur or an entrepreneur. They're busy trying to market their business. They're busy trying to serve their clients. But, now comes the financial thing. How do you manage and navigate that? It's a lot for people to take on because normally in a big corporation, they have people for this section, that section, and this section. If you're a solopreneur or a small company, and even if you are a small company, you're generally the one wearing most of the hats and then delegating. It's when it comes to the finances, it can be very, very confusing, can't it? Welcome to the show, Anne.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
So the confusion around how to navigate your finances in business, how much goes to growth, or how much do you need to hold back, or what should go on to marketing. Marketing changes from one moment to the next as well, so that is always a perpetual investment. It can become very, very worrisome and time consuming for small business
Mhm.
owners because they need the money and they need to generate the money, but they want to concentrate on the gift that they are to their
Mhm.
clients.
Exactly, 100% true, right? So, like, one of the hardest things is like, what do you do with the money you're earning? So, like, you might have a couple problems. One, it's not enough, and you're kind of confused on where it should go, or
Mhm.
even a better problem, like there's too much of it coming in, which a lot of business owners do have that problem. And now, where do you deploy that money? And I think that it comes down to like many different ways of being able to allocate the funds. One way I like to is I use something called profit first. So it's just a
Mm.
way to like properly allocate funds. Like for example, a very basic way of profit first is like every dollar that comes in, like 50 cents goes to your operating expenses. I believe it's like 10% goes to profit. A certain percentage goes to your owner's share, and then the rest goes to taxes. So this
Mhm.
way, as money's coming in, you have a specific target allocation for each dollar and where it goes. It's almost like a job that each dollar
Mhm.
has. And as you scale and you increase your revenue, you start to modify your percentages. Like your taxes will probably go up as your income goes up. And then your expenses probably will go up as your income goes in because it's probably going to cost you more money depending on what you do to take on more customers. So that's just kind of one of the things I like to do. I've learned over the last couple of years as an entrepreneur that it's really important to kind of have like systems in place
Mhm.
before those things already happen. So like instead of being reactionary, like only doing things as they come, you're doing things on a proactive basis where it's like, if this happens, then we do this. So this helps
Mm.
very much so when it comes to finances.
When you're prepared, right? And you're not
Yeah,
shocked and then you're not in panic. It's kind of sad to think that out of every dollar, there's only 10% really that goes to you.
yeah,
But that is kind of the reality, isn't it? Taxes will always take your soul before anything else. And that you have to be able to look at putting money back in your business.
yeah,
Whether it's I'm growing too big, I need to employ people, or I need to register into these automatic systems that are going to do things for me. But if you're not willing to put money back into your business,
hmm,
then you can't keep up with the growth, or you're not expecting growth altogether.
yeah, exactly. It can actually put you in a worse situation if your business is not growing. Even like large, for example, billion dollar companies are constantly researching and finding ways to grow because that's really the only direction they can go. And it's either they go up or they go down. There really is no such thing at any level in business, in my opinion, where you could just stay stagnant, where it's like, I like this lifestyle. I'm just going to keep earning, $200,000 a year, whatever the case is. It doesn't business and life and like industries don't usually work that way. It's either what you're either going in one direction, either up or down. So obviously, nobody wants to go down, so you're gonna have to constantly find different ways to grow. It's gonna take a lot of personal development, like investing in yourself, having a mentor, having coaches, being parts of masterminds, like learning a lot more about your industry, and then also other parts of your industry. Like if you own, for example, a chain of coffee stores, that maybe you could then become your own supplier of coffee, where like
Mm.
you're becoming more vertically integrated now. You're taking on more of the role, insourcing more of the roles, hence leading to more profits and more revenue down the line. So you need to kind of do those things, and as you mentioned, of course, reinvest back into your business. Because I think that a lot of business owners, I see this a lot where as a financial planner, work here with small business, especially small business owners, it's like it's a job for them, right? Like
Yes.
they're showing up every day. They are the CEO, they're the CMO, CFO, all types of C-suite hats they're wearing. But really, I think it's kind of the wrong approach to business. It should be that your business is an investment vehicle that you could put money into and then get an ROI on that money. I think that is the ultimate goal of a business, is for it to be an investment vehicle where you can add money into it and that money turns into more money over time. If your business isn't structured that way, then you probably have a very high paying job that you own. But really, a true business is something where you can add money into it and it can compound and grow and have a compounding effect.
A business that can be duplicated. I mean, this is
Mhm.
something that COVID did to a great deal of businesses. There was a massive amount of coaches that were one-on-one or small groups or just serving people particularly in their community. And then, COVID forced them to think out of the box and go online and pivot and
Yeah.
create courses. Now they're actually working with people around the world. So it's expanded their business quite considerably. But in doing that, then you need to bring on more people that are maybe more savvy with the internet or program setting up or whatever the case is. And you're going to be marketing differently because
Mhm.
you're not marketing to your local anymore. You're marketing to a vast community, global community. You're obviously still serving a niche,
Mhm.
but that niche has suddenly grown. So what do you need to do to serve that niche that now has different faces? So there's always that growth factor that we've got to have in there. Nobody can say, "Oh, I'm quite happy with that 200,000 a year," because that 200,000 a year last year is probably only worth 150,000 this year, with
Yeah.
taxes, with expenses, with everything else going up.
Yeah, I didn't even consider inflation. Yeah, you're so
Yeah.
right. That's true. Yeah, like even if you're making the same amount of money as last year, technically it's less because of inflation. And you mentioned a good point, like about like for example, if you're a one-on-one coach and then now you have to pivot into courses, now you have to take on I guess you have to learn new things, like you mentioned, programs and IT and digital marketing and creating content. And I think, but the result is that you stay in business because now you can essentially have software make money for you. If your website could sell the course for you, if your digital marketing is automated, if you have other people working for you, now you don't need to speak to a client just to make money. You have software technology and other people helping, delegating to other people, helping you earn revenue, actually increasing your revenue. I think that is definitely the trend that we're seeing after COVID. It's more of virtualizing things, replicating things, and those are really the businesses that are truly staying in businesses. Are businesses that are replicatable, duplicatable, scalable businesses that could help people internationally.
Yeah. Yes. I had somebody on yesterday who's a medical intuitive, and she kind of started out helping people one-on-one, and she still does do that, but she's grown so exponentially now with where she's serving thousands of people. But what she has done is kind of set up several groups, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, where she's on live for question period every week. And that allows more people to come in, ask the questions, more people to receive the answers at the same time. So, there is no box thinking. And we really need to have that kind of fund in our budget
Mhm.
of wherever it needs to go fund. Suddenly you need to actually do pay for advertising on social media, or you do need to bring someone in that can handle webinars or live production for you, so you can just concentrate on what you're doing. So it's, there's always good to have that kind of wherever it needs to go fund, because you never
Mhm.
know what's going to come up and where that money needs to go now.
Yeah, and then it brings me to my next point, right? Like, so like having your business and the business growing is really good. And then having the additional profits, the extra money coming in, now where does it go? You reinvest in your business. But then there's another layer on top of all of that. Like, I think there's a point where you've kind of reached not a cap, but a certain threshold that you've reached for reinvesting back in your business. And now I think that you should even consider investing into other businesses. This is where
Mm,
you are known as a limited partner. A lot of people know it as silent partner.
mhm.
This is, for example, where like if somebody needs to raise capital for a business, you are in essence like an investor. You are a silent partner, a limited partner in that you're limited in the sense of the amount of money you can lose, and you're limited in the control you have.
Right.
And as a business owner, you can free up more time by, I guess, like even if you look at, for example, like the show Shark Tank and these other similar shows, you notice that for these entrepreneurs, like the next step after entrepreneurship is investor.
Mm,
And that is the ultimate for a lot of business owners. That's the ultimate goal because it's the most lucrative, the most financially rewarding, and it is the least amount of work. Because what does an investor have to do? You just need the money, number one. And number two, you need to have the skills to evaluate deals, look at tax returns, look at bank statements, look at income statements, cash flow statements, and then make a recommendation, get legal and tax advice on that. And then that's it. Really, you could potentially earn dividends and bonuses, and not bonuses, but dividends and shares of the company, and have that appreciate over time, earn or essentially own another source of income from that. And then that is really, it's unlimited. Like they're really, you have a certain limit to amount of active you have a certain amount of limit to the active hours you have. Like you have your
yes.
company, it's going to be limited, but really there is no limit to the amount of other
Mm.
companies you can invest in. So I think that is what I would urge business owners to go to. Is like after you have a business, after that business is profitable, after you're reinvesting into your business, now let's look at investing into other businesses.
And for a lot of people will say, like, I'm not that financial savvy. Well, that's okay, because that's where you can hire someone who is financial savvy, who knows which business to invest into. You may look at the business and go, I really like what they're doing. I
Mhm.
really am on board with their mission. Uh, but financially, where they're going and that, this is where you hire that financial person to say, it's viable. Yes, invest, and I will manage it for you.
Yep.
And then it becomes that okay, this is doing well. I can now invest somewhere else, and your financial person will know whether are you stretching yourself too far,
Mhm.
are you doing too much. The other thing, of course, is what we see a great deal of in my kind of business and in coaching business is affiliation.
Yeah.
And affiliation, if you don't want to be and you can't be that investor, is affiliating with other people. And then every time you make a referral, you're making a buck, so to
Mhm.
speak. So there's always ways to expand out, of, as you say,
Yeah.
seeding many, many fields. And some fields will really grow really fast and some fields won't. So
Mhm.
never put out more than you're willing to quote, quote, lose,
Yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah, yeah. I would recommend this. Yeah, like after your business is profitable, then invest in other businesses. So because you're taking on more risk, right? When you're investing in these other businesses, like you could potentially lose all the money. But for a lot of this, like our podcast is called Thinking Like a Bank, right? And then one of our principles of thinking like a bank is you're spreading risk, right? It's like if you would you rather invest $100,000 in one business or $10,000 in 10 different
Yeah,
businesses? The answer would be 10 different
yeah,
businesses because statistically speaking, not all 10 are going to go under, especially if they're different industries, different markets, different places. I just don't, it's very highly unlikely that all 10 will go under. It's very likely that one could go under, but all 10. So you're thinking like a bank, right? You're spreading your
Yeah.
risk. Plus, you
And
have your
one may
business.
go right stratosphere, and
Yeah, yeah,
another one
exactly.
may take a very long time to get there, and one may not go there at all. But
Yeah.
it's you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yes, true. So you want to definitely diversify, spread out the risk. And then you also mentioned like if you don't know how to do something, like you hire. And I'm reading this book right here. If you could see it, Who Not How. It's an
Mhm.
amazing book. It really talks about like instead of you thinking about like how do I do something, like how do I find businesses to invest or how do I become a investor or whatever, how do I grow my business? Ask who can help me get there, like who knows
Yes.
how to do this, who's done it before, and then work with that person, whether it's a coach, a mentor, an employee, a potential partner, an investor. There's a lot of who's out there, as the book mentioned, a lot of who's out there that are looking to do exactly what you're doing or to
Hmm.
complement what you are doing. So it just talks about the emphasis of networking with other people and never really constrict yourself. Like just because you don't know how to read financial
Right.
statements, that's it. You can't get to that next goal. Like there's help you can get to and outsource to.
Yes. You know, what we're seeing today is so many beautiful, innovative ways of expanding our income because we've had to. You know, inflation has hit everybody. Many businesses are suffering because what we're seeing is, I'm a baby boomer, and we're seeing so many baby boomers leave the industry, and there are the people behind us didn't follow in the same industry. And what we're seeing over and over and over again is businesses closing purely through shortage of staff. And so and I think also if you have a business where you rely on employing people, you've got to give those people an incentive to be there. And I think that, my son has a restaurant, and every year he has a week where it is employees' profit. Every profit that comes in for that week goes to the employees. And he gets the community to come in and spend more money and buy the frozen food and take home or buy gift certificates to generate more money that week because all of the profit goes to the to the people that work there. And it's an incentive. And I think we have to change the way we employ people as not employees that are just coming in to do their job, but people that are a part of something where they feel proud to be a part of something, a part of that growth. They want to invest their time in it because there's a return on it. And I think that's the only way we're going to actually keep people in
Mhm.
industries where you need people.
Yeah, you're so right. That is such a big problem with like restaurants and other industries of
Hmm.
hiring people
Hmm.
because everybody wants to number one make more money now after COVID, and then number two everybody wants to be self-employed. I feel like everybody wants
It's
to be their own business owner. So I like what your son is doing. If like he's giving back profits back to the employees. Number one increases their income, and then number two it creates more retention. Like they have
yes,
something to keep showing up for.
yeah,
It's probably better for them to stay working at your son's restaurant than it is for them to go out and start their own restaurant.
exactly.
So, mhm.
Yes, believe me, being a restaurant owner has many headaches. So you can leave the headache up to the owner, but you can
Yeah,
be a part of the family and the benefits,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm,
and I think that goes for every, like in coaching, or I'm a professional podcaster, but also a coach. And in our industry, again, it's that referral that is something that can be that extra income. Um, joining other people that are doing innovations, where maybe you kind of cut a deal. A percentage to bring my database in.
mhm,
You've always got to kind of think differently.
mhm,
Um, and you said like so many people are going out there and working on their own. What we're seeing is where you would have a company where somebody would employ the accountant, the bookkeeper, the this, the that, the booking agent, and all of that type of thing. We're now seeing all of those people offer those services. So they're working on their own, as a virtual assistant or as a bookkeeper or as a whatever, in podcasting, a lot of people then go and do the podcasting for the people, the rendering
mhm,
and creating and all of that. Um, and so now, if you are a solopreneur and you don't want to employ people, what you do is you hire the people with their expertise and you delegate the various jobs out to those companies. So instead of coming in under the one fold and only working under one roof, now they have the diversification to work for many people, and but you have maybe 6 or 7 people serving one company.
Yeah, you're so right. Yeah, exactly. Because from both ways, it's beneficial. Like for example, if you are the contractor, you are the accountant, it's easier for you instead of working for one company to be like a fractional CFO or a fractional
Mm-hmm.
accountant of many companies,
Mm-hmm.
and then vice versa for the company itself. It's better for you to have some in some situations that outside accountant or the outside contractor you can hire on like a one-off basis for certain things and to have a full-time in-house
Yes.
employee, depending on what the situation is. But I do think that that's becoming more of like a trend now of like contract work, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that's a big reason why a lot of people are quitting their jobs is
Yes.
because like if you're for example like an IT consultant, you're sort of thinking like what I'm doing today I could just do for like 20 companies working remotely. So
Yeah.
you would quit, start your own business. You
Mm-hmm.
can even potentially the company you quit from keep them as a contract. Sometimes
Yes.
they prefer to keep you as a contractor than an employee. So that way, it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, because obviously for a big company, there's no longer the kind of the pension and the medical and all of that
Yeah,
type of thing that they've got to have with it. All right. You as your own entrepreneur now, that's up to you to sort out your own pension and your own medical. And that's the downside of it, right? But when you take on to being your own business, you have to look at all of these things. As you said, compartmentalize your dollar, but you've also got to compartmentalize the benefits of being on your own and the unbenefits of leaving a corporation that covered certain things for you. And it all has to be counted in.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like business owners, you don't have usually like in both senses. As a business owner, you don't have your own pension or even a
Mm,
401k or some sort of retirement plan. So you have to create your own.
yeah,
And then companies also don't really have pensions anymore. I think from my understanding, and I see this a lot working with clients, like doing financial analysis meetings, it's really only like government jobs that have
yeah,
pensions, and very few corporations keep giving pensions because it costs them a lot of money to maintain those pension accounts. So they decided to completely cut them out. They even replace it with a 401k. So in the States we have a 401k. I think in Canada it's RESPs. I think it's something along those lines for a 401k in Canada. So it's essentially the an employer plan, employer sponsored retirement plan, but it pushes the risk
yeah,
and the fees onto the employee,
mm,
which defeats the purpose of a pension because a pension was supposed to be paid for by your company.
yeah.
You're also
For
adding
your
into the
years of
pension.
service, yes.
Yeah, your years of service, and there's usually insurance backed contracts inside of a pension. So what they do is they guarantee you like, all right, when you are 65 years old, like no matter what happens in the economy, you'll have $3 million in that account, and then you can start taking out like $5,000 a month with a 3 or 4% increase every single year until you die. So like it's like a lot more guarantees. Those types of accounts really no longer exist
Mm,
except in the government setting. They've replaced those with 401ks, and 401ks are not guaranteed at all. Like there's market exposure. You're investing typically in mutual funds inside of a 401k, and those mutual funds, of course, are exposed to the market. So like if markets go down, your 401k balance goes up. It was very, I guess, not normal, but it's very likely that that could happen in 2008, like during the
mm,
2008 2009 market crash. I mean, most people who had 401ks lost about half of their funds inside there because of what happened in the market. So that's just something to kind of think about. Like when you're an employee at a company or a business owner, you need some sort of method or way of growing wealth, regardless of what happens in the economy, and something that you own. So not just because like you work at a company, you have this amazing retirement plan and you leave and you no longer have this plan, but something you own and you control.
yes. That is very important. So this is the thing for a lot of people that are, you know, starting out a business, and let's say take coaching, because
Yeah.
there's many people I do interview are coaches.
Mhm.
They're very gifted coaches. They're very gifted at what they do, but all of this other stuff, is like, what? I've got to do what? You know, what do you mean? What percentage? And this is where, quite honestly, when you are investing in opening up of your business, you need to invest in that financial planner that can show you exactly where every dollar is going to go and where it needs to go. And as you said, with no guarantee of pension nowadays,
Yeah.
you've got to be your own pensioner where X
Yeah.
amount of dollars every single month goes into whatever you can put it into. If you find something that can generate money, that can increase money, not just the bank at 0%, but something that can actually make money on it, and that is your pension. It's not a cushy fund or a rainy day fund. It's your pension, and you don't touch it until the day you close shop.
Yes.
But it is overwhelming for people because, they just want to go out there and do their good work. And their work is desperately needed, especially in this time of conscious rising, where we are seeing people become more ethical and more authentic. And people are so tired of fake news and flash this and illusional that. People want real. Give me the core, give me the real. They want to know when they're doing business with someone. I don't care how many hats you wear. I want to know you're the same ethical person under each hat. And so there's so much pressure, even in business today, to present yourself because you are your business. And there's so much competition with the work that this whole financial side and, planning for your growth and planning for your retirement and planning for the expansion, planning for this and that can be extremely overwhelming. What would you suggest people do when they're thinking of starting a business and understanding where the money needs to go?
Yeah, 100%. It's a really good question, really good observation. Um, like if your role, for example, is you're a life coach, you are a business coach, you're really involved in like the person-to-person coaching. You probably don't want to deal with like the whole percentage things of
Yeah.
your business, the financial part of it. So I'd recommend a couple of things. I'd recommend working with a really good accountant who also has like a financial coaching aspect to their business. And I
That
think that like
includes tax
yeah, includes
awareness
tax,
as
yeah.
well. Yes.
Yeah, and you kind of want both. Either you want both connected together, or from one person, or from two people that will connect with you on those both those matters. Because people might assume like an accountant, that's what they do as well, and that's not true actually. So a
Mm.
lot of accountants really focus on particular areas of business, and I would say like from my experience working with a lot of accountants, it's really just tax filing, like
Mm.
personal income taxes, business income taxes, filing the quarterly and annual documents and things like that, so that they're really in this zone where it's what's the problem, what needs to be addressed, how much money do you owe, how can we solve those problems, and times 1,000 clients. So
Mm.
when you go to an accountant and you try recommending a new idea or like a new service, like can you provide for me like monthly forecasting and help me project
Mm.
numbers and help me, it's going to be outside their scope. They're probably going to recommend you don't need that, or they'll tell you to go somewhere else because they're already busy with what they're doing. It's
Yeah.
very similar to like working with a lawyer. Like if that lawyer only does one type of particular area of the law and you want help with another area, they're probably not going to help you in that other area because they're not proficient in that other area. They're not
Right.
going to take on that additional risk. So but there are accountants who have kind of I guess, agile practices where it's like, we'll do your taxes, we'll do your monthly forecasting projection, we'll even help you uncover those numbers, like what you could potentially make based off of what you do. You want to kind of work with like a multi-level, multi-service accounting firm that where they could be like your CFO, like your fractional CFO.
Yeah. Well,
That I
it's
think,
it's kind of going back to what we were saying before. You may be accountant, you specialize in this,
yeah,
but you have other contract accountants that you
yes.
work with. This person's really good on your forecasting. This is really, really good on your tax side. This is really, really good on this and that. But they all work under one umbrella. And they, again, they have their own little referral fee going back and forth to the clients that are referred.
That is the best way of business,
Yeah.
right? Because number one, these professionals now are increasing the revenue
Hmm.
without increasing risk. So like now this accountant who would normally not be able to do a special area of taxes, they can outsource that to somebody else, get a referral fee for that. So now they're increasing the revenue.
Yes.
Plus, they're able to help a client without taking on more risk. So that
Right.
because they're not specialists in the area, but they're finding a specialist. And then number three, the client is getting the help they need. So it's like a win-win-win. Now the client doesn't have to go out and manually look for another person that can help in a different area, and then those two people are not really connecting or able to coordinate their care or their finances. So when you have those types of referrals, it's literally a win-win-win. Everybody wins. The original professional wins, the second professional who's being referred, and then the client also, because they
Yeah.
can get more services now under one umbrella.
Well, that's what I was about to say. It's about the umbrella, and this is what we're seeing so much in many businesses, in coaching and this and that. I have a specialty in this particular area. And once I'm finished with my client here, I can't take them to that next level.
Yeah.
So, I align with other people that now can take them to this level, or maybe somebody can take them to that level. But you have them under an umbrella. And the authenticity of that is that because you're under one umbrella, it makes people feel that they're dealing with one company,
Yeah.
right? And that there is a communication between each one of those people, so that it's not just a handoff and it's blind, and you've got, how you get put on hold and then somebody comes back, especially in chats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been having this long, stupid conversation, and they've got six conversations going, and suddenly they've gone off somewhere, and somebody goes, "Can you tell me your problem?" I've been here for an hour telling the problem, right? And it's so frustrating. So by having people that are collaborating together,
Mhm.
it's rather like an orchestra. Each
Yeah.
person has their own instrumentalist, and they're extremely good in it. They can work solo, but when they come together as an orchestra and work in harmony, they really are creating the symphony that resonates out with the clients.
You're so right. I love that orchestra, right? Like things are flowing together, things are
Mm,
coordinated. Because a lot of times, and I know this as a financial professional myself, a lot of things are connected. Like for example, like I'm working with the client, right? And we're trying to do a couple different things. Like he's doing some things with his real estate properties where with depreciation. So that's completely outside of my scope. So I had to find an engineering company to help with that aspect. And then there's a tax law and tax part to it, which again is outside of my scope. So he has his accountant. And then we're also doing a third thing with like research and development tax credits that he's applying for with equipment and technology owned. That's another company. So it's important that everybody's coordinated together. All
yes.
four of us are coordinated together, because if one of them is not willing to coordinate with the other or doesn't understand the other person's role, then it kind of throws off everything, because he's going to get tax benefits from all those things. He's going to get cost savings in all those areas. And then that money is going to get reinvested into strategies we're going to help with. So they all have to flow together. And for the client to have to do all that on his own and find all these on his own, it's probably going to make all those strategies unlikely to happen. So
Yeah.
it's a big deal too. Like you have the strategies at play, right? Like you have the ways of reducing your taxes,
Mhm.
of increasing your income, increasing the value of your business. But now, is it possible for you to get those things done? And this is where a lot of people overlook this part right here. Like, yeah, it's possible, that, but is it going to happen? Are you actually going to implement all those things? And we see a lot of times it doesn't get implemented because of the lack of coordination. It's like a
Yes.
project. Like the
Yes.
project is possible, but is the project actually going to go through? And is actually going to be successful if you have the accountability from all different factors.
It's like building a house. My
Yeah.
my daughter and her husband built a house, and what we used to see when people came in and built a house, there'd be the framing, the base, the framing, and then the this and the that, and everybody would come in flow. Now everybody's, well, I specialize in roofing, I specialize in this, I specialize
Yeah.
in that, and now you got to wait 6 weeks between
Yeah.
to get that roof on, because they've taken on too many jobs.
Yeah.
And where a good contractor knows how to have everybody under this umbrella, plan ahead. We've got this house, we've got this house, we've got this house. This is the time constraint that we have on each one of them. And we will allow 1 or 2 days here and there because things happen. But I want to see consistency. So if you are going to collaborate with other companies and contract out, you've got to make sure that you're not collaborating with someone that's already got so much on their plate that they really can't serve your client, because the client goes to the bottom of the list. So if you are collaborating with people and forming this umbrella, make sure that people can deliver and keep that service in a nice cohesive flow.
100% exactly. Definitely.
There's so many aspects to running a business, and I will admit straight up, financial side of it is la la land. It's a different language to me altogether. I can interview people from anywhere in the world, but don't don't show me numbers. Um, because for me, I read hearts and souls, right? So I see possibilities. I know what can happen. But when it crunching the numbers, I am not there whatsoever. But, we've also got to a stage in our lives where, can I trust someone with this? Am I just another number to them? Or am I a client where they really want me to be under their umbrella and be a recurring client? Somebody that you can pick up the phone and say, I'm having this problem, and that they know what's going on with you, and they can, connect. Not who are you? We want that kind of service. We're so tired of just being treated like a number, or
Mhm.
you're now 200th in line.
Mhm.
And I think one of the good things for any of these umbrellas to do is have a customer service department,
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
somebody
And it
that
goes,
connects all the hub.
yeah, exactly. And it kind of goes into the delegating part. Like when you are growing as a business owner, and I'll speak on from the standpoint of like coaches, right? Like you have, for example, um, you're taking on new clients as a coach. You're gonna have to really figure out different ways of delegating different parts. Like for example, if you are the person doing all your social media posts and the content, writing the content, and then doing like the intro calls with clients, and then also like if there's billing or payment forms, and then even more areas to that, if you're doing all those areas on your own, then you're going to be limited to like, let's just say like 10 meetings, 10 actual coaching meetings a week with clients, because you're busy doing everything else. But if you start to delegate those and hire, like you have somebody who just only, all they do is just do intro calls with clients. So they just screen calls. They do those free 15-minute calls where they make sure like you and the company are going to be a good fit. And then you have somebody that just does all the billing and pay, they coordinate with like the accounting department, they do like the whole payroll stuff. And then you have somebody that just all the content writing. Now you could spend like 40 hours with clients if you wanted to,
Yes.
doing only one-on-one coaching meetings where you're potentially, I don't know, making, let's just say $250 to $350 an hour per meeting. And then you're not wasting your time working on other things. You're actually creating an arbitrage where the amount of money it costs you to hire other people versus the amount of money you're making by hiring
Yeah.
other people is going to be greater than if you
Yeah.
did it on your own. So like you create this investment concept within your business where like your business is now a money making machine where it's worth it for you to outsource those things
Yeah.
and then scale. And then you can even go beyond that where now instead of you working one-on-one with clients, you have other people on in your team working one-on-one with clients, and you would train them, sell them leads, or however you want to structure
Mm,
it. And then you're going on to write books and give
mm.
speeches at conferences and things like that. So your time is becoming more and more valuable.
Right. Now, this is one warning I would definitely give. I've been in this business now for 11 years,
Mhm.
and very often I will look at a person's site, and then when I meet them, it's like, mm-mm, there is no gel between the site and who you are. And the other detriment thing of hiring someone who's going to do all your social media and interact with people, because what we say, if you want to do good business, you've got to interact. And this is not just about posting and flashing. People are sick of that. They
Yeah.
want conversation in social medias. They want interaction. They want to know there's a human being at the end of there. And I have a lovely story on that, on a woman who was having a wonderful conversation, she thought, with Miss A. And then one day she actually had the opportunity to meet Miss A, who was this big deal. And she said, oh, I've left our conversations, this and that. And Miss A looks and goes, who the hell are you? And it's because the assistant was having the conversation.
Oh wow.
Right. Now, this is the thing you've got to be very careful. If that you're hiring people to do postings and things for you, that's all very well. But at some point, you actually have to put a certain amount of time aside a week where you are the person that is interacting with your clientele. After all, it's you're selling. And if you're misrepresenting yourself with somebody else's voice, it
Mhm.
immediately builds distrust. So this is something, a big warning to people out there when they do start. I can hire someone to do this and that, but are they speaking in the same language, the same tone, and the same frequency as you? Because if they're not, and they suddenly meet you, they're offended.
Yeah, you're right. Like if online in their social media posts and comments and replying to your comments, they're all bubbly and enthusiastic and charismatic, and then you meet them in person at like a networking event, and they're completely different. You're in your head, you're like you said, you're going to be offended.
Yep. You
You
betrayed.
yeah, you feel betrayed. Yeah, exactly. It didn't meet the same the same
Expectation.
context wasn't met, the same relationship wasn't met. So I think, yeah, definitely 100. I agree. I didn't even look at it from that standpoint. I think you're right. If you are going to outsource those parts to have somebody else do the social media parts for you, like, be cautious about that. Try to, I guess maybe you can have somebody write the posts for you, but when it comes to people replying, then you would be the one replying, saving you
Exactly.
time. Instead of you having to write the post and reply to the comments, you can have somebody else do one of those things for you.
You've just got to understand, I don't care how big you get, trillions
Yeah.
of books, speaking
Yeah.
everywhere. What you're doing is you're separating yourself. And one thing you've always got to remember, whoever you are, in whatever business you are, is that you've got to get there amongst your people and communicate. Don't get so big that you outbid yourself and somebody else that you've been communicating with. Instead, the other people want to work with. And I think that is, one of the big warnings about people who suddenly are doing exceptionally well and they start doing all of these things to implement, everybody else doing their job. They lose the essence of what it was all about. And it's, I was talking to a young woman the other day who was going into business school. And I said to her, what's the difference between the janitor and the CEO? And she said, well, the CEO is big, runs the company. And I said, well, what does the janitor do? Well, cleans. And I said, now think about that. If you walk into a company and it's dirty, what is your impression of the CEO?
It's a good
This,
point.
the janitor has set the stage for that first impression, but nobody notices the janitor. And all the spotlight is on the CEO. But we've got to pay attention to the people that are setting our stage and to make sure that when we walk on that stage, we're walking on as truly representing all of the people that have built that stage for us.
That I never saw that way. That's really true, and it's a good point.
There's a lot of aspects to running a business. And again, most of the people that I do interview will be authors, will be mentors, will be coaches, will be advisors, many business advisors, etc. And all say the same. It is all about outsourcing nowadays, umbrellaing. You will see many people in the same field, but doing things in a different way, umbrellaing together, sharing, the resources, sharing, all the people they need to hire. Instead of it being one company, you've got 4 companies under one umbrella. There's so many ways that we need to do things today. But I think one of the things is because we're so saturated with so many services out there, and we're trying to find that service that speaks to us, that person that we feel hears us, that can serve us, that everybody's trying to kind of outdo each other with the advertising and with what they're offering and this and that. And, I would say my caution is always this: remember your authenticity, remember who you are and why you're doing this, because that's what people are connecting with. And if you lose that why, you're going to lose the business. And the other thing is, before you step into business, your heart and soul is what you want to do, but are you prepared for it? You don't just move your furniture into a house that hasn't been built yet. You
Yeah.
don't have the party before the roof goes on,
Yeah.
right? So make sure that you are prepared and you know what is coming. And again, that huge chunk of I have no idea what's coming, but I'm prepared for it fund.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, exactly. Um, I think there's a lot of uncertainties in business, so
Mm,
it can kind of cause people to, like, not know what's going to happen next. But it's like you could still be prepared, right? You could still be prepared financially and mentally for the next steps. I think COVID taught us that the hard way.
mhm.
Um, but like, you can be prepared without knowing what's going to happen next.
Yeah. But I think there's another thing. There's preparation and there's rigidity. Don't be rigid. If you want to survive, you've got to be able to do the tango, a couple of steps this way, a couple of steps that way. You've
Yep.
got to be flexible because things change. And the businesses that survive are those that go with the flow.
Yep. Exactly. Go. Yeah. I think, like, you have to also be, like, up to date with data and
Yeah.
trends, like things that are changing. Like you need to be aware with what's happening, like different. Like for example, like is your business heading more towards technology? Are customers, are customers going directly to the companies? Are they working with distributors? How successful is Amazon really doing? Like, does it actually have a big impression on your e-commerce business or your e-commerce industry? Like for example, in my situation, financial planning is like how trendy is it or how popular is it to work with a financial planner virtually, remotely? And I
Yeah.
think that in my situation, it's becoming more and more popular. And the same is
Yes.
true with life coaching, right? And business coaching, like working with virtual coaches. I've worked with probably 5 or 6 different coaches before, and only one of them was in person. And even that one that was in person, she told me that I think I was her only client in
Mm.
person. I used to just meet with her because it was a close distance to me. So I guess like knowing these trends and knowing where your business and industry are going are going to be really important. It's also the reason why like companies like for example, you're in Canada, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have Radio Shack in Canada or
I
had it.
yes, I don't know if it's called Radio Shack anymore. I think it's called Source now.
Okay, we used to have Radio Shack in the States. We no longer have it because all those products now are online with Amazon
Yes.
and
Yes.
and all these other direct companies that sell
Which
directly
is a
online
pain in
to.
the butt when you need something now and you've got to order it and wait several days. It's annoying. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Exactly. So yeah, I think that's a really good point of just knowing kind of like following different trends and being up to date, not really like waiting for something to happen for you to change. I think that's going to be too late. You also look at like companies like, for example, like Toys R Us. They kind of went under for a while. I heard they were coming back, but it had to do with their online presence. Their online presence wasn't up to date, and they didn't have like methods of engaging with people. You mentioned that earlier, like business is engagement.
Mhm.
So like that's also really important to like figure out ways to stay connected. It could be very difficult to do when you're either um too busy as an entrepreneur to stay connected, and it could also be really difficult to do when you're not busy at all because you're too focused on making money, and you might think that I'm not going to keep engaging with this client who's not paying me. I need to engage with clients who are paying me. So I guess both ways it can get frustrating, but you have to kind of adjust for that and keep have some I guess habits are really not
Yes.
beyond systems. Habits, like things that you're doing without really even noticing them. I think the habits are really what's going to keep your business growing and keep you in business.
Mindset too.
Yeah, mine's yeah.
It's like, you may have one client that is only dropping the penny at a time and you've got somebody
Yeah,
else dropping the dollar, but that penny adds up. And then,
yeah,
all of a sudden that penny will turn $2. And so don't dismiss. You may put them on pause on the back burner, and just like drip, drip, drip. But all of a sudden they may come out of the gate. So don't
yeah,
just chase the money that's there at hand. Make sure that you're also nurturing the seeds that are being planted. Because
yeah.
everything's going to grow it in its own time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's too like I see this too with financial planning. Like I work with some clients who like just graduated from college, and they have these financial strategies where they're doing like $300 to $500 a month. And it's not much, right? But at the same time, like if I only just looked at the money only,
Yes.
I would only just talk to, for example, people who were like older than 40 and 50 years old, people who are more established. But the problem is that the people who are still young, they still need the financial advice just
Yes,
because they don't have a
more
lot of
so.
money. They need it. Yeah. And plus, what's going to happen, like if I'm working with somebody who's 24, 25 years old, they're putting in $300 to $500 a month. What's going to happen when they get promoted, when they start getting work bonuses, when they
Yes.
start their business, when they're starting to get large windfalls from their business, they want to get into real estate? I hope most likely I'm going to be the first person they call because I was there planting those seeds with them. So I was growing
Right.
with them at the same
Precisely.
time.
And we
Yeah.
want to stay with someone we feel is familiar and trust and knows
Yes.
who we are.
Yes. Yes.
It isn't just knowing, I mean, how can you help them with their financial plan if you don't know who they are and what their why is? What's their mission and their vision? Right? You need to
Mhm.
know that in order to know how to help them. And if you've been there at the ground level and then they start growing, they're going to go back to you and say, look where we're going. It becomes a we,
Yeah.
not an I. And you want that, relationships in business are essential because that's where the trust is. And if the trust is there, that's where the continual business is going to be.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think the trust and the liking part is even more important than like like for example, like if you had somebody who two people to pick from, right? Like one person you knew them, you trusted them, you liked them, and they're, let's just say a financial, let's just say a coach, right? And their skills were, I would say, like at a point where they were like 5 years into their career, they're really good. And then versus somebody who you didn't know or really understand yet, but they had like 30 years of coaching, they had a PhD in psychology, they had much more credentials and designations and things like that. You probably still pick the person you trust over the person with the
Yes, yes.
higher
The
experience
person
and
you connect
education.
with, the
Yeah, you
person you've
connect
had a
with. Yeah,
relation with, right?
right,
Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah, because the high degree and the experience is probably irrelevant to you. You want to work with somebody who actually, is
sees you.
vested and sees you. Yes, exactly.
Mm. And I think this is something that is essential, and especially I think the younger generation. I have three millennials, and they want to do business with people they feel A sees the same mission, has the same mission or the same vision. But people who are, that it's not just today, it's long term. This is the possibility today. But if we nurture it, if we feed it properly, the possibilities of where it can be tomorrow. And you want to know that those people aren't flighty,
Mhm,
that they're going to be there for that tomorrow. Whatever, time differences is between that beginning and that next stage. You want
mhm.
someone to say, oh my goodness, look how far you've come. Yes, we're ready now for that next level. And I think far more we're seeing now with the younger generation. I want to have someone who sees me, who hears me, who's there for the long haul, and who doesn't just look at me as a dollar sign.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That is so true. Not just looking into the dollar sign for sure. Absolutely.
I think that's actually across the board nowadays. Everybody's got so sick of it. Our consciousness is rising on so many levels, and in the business shows I do, what I'm seeing is, in the past, especially kind of 70s and 80s and 90s, we were looking at profit at the expense of people and planet. And now we're realizing we're raping and pillaging the planet's resources. And we're not respecting what this planet is giving us, but we're also not respecting the people. We're just chewing them up and spitting them out. And so now people are realizing in companies, whether they have a company and employees or whether they are working with people who they're independent under one umbrella, it is about when you invest in the people, a relationship, time, communication, trust, and you respect the resources of the planet and how we're using this planet, profit will be there. It is a natural byproduct of investing in the people, because when you invest in the people that you're working with, they're more eager to support you and see your success because it also becomes their success. And when a client is feeling successful because of your services, now they refer you to dozens of people and everybody is fruitfully
Mhm.
benefiting from it. So our mindset on how we look at business, yes, we all need money. We need money to grow, we need money to live, and we need that money. But I think if we look at how we're doing business, why we're doing business, what our service is, that will make the money, and always keep the emphasis and the importance on why we're doing it, and not look at just I'm chasing money. Because I can guarantee you the amount of shows I've done of people who've chased money to be very unhappy. Money is
Yeah.
not going to make you happy, and it can't buy happiness. That's an inside out job.
Yeah, it's just a tool, really. It's a
Yes.
tool that gets you to the next level, but it isn't the level. Like for example, if I wanted to like post a picture on my wall, right, and I needed a drill at the hardware store, my goal isn't to buy a drill that day. My goal is to
Mhm.
hang up the picture. So like money's the same way. It's just a tool that gets you there. Like if to say that money is your end goal, I think it's kind of foolish to do that because that's like
It's
saying
empty.
that the tools at the local hardware shop are my goals. But in
Mm,
reality, those are just the tools you need to get there. To say that you want financial freedom, that
mhm.
you want to spend more time with your family,
Yeah.
that you want to automate your business, travel the world. I think those are going to be
A good
more
quality of life. Hmm.
good quality. Exactly, because now you're not just. I mean, you're using money to live. You're
And to
not
enhance your
living.
life rather than replace
Yeah,
your life. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. In other words, then you're just living to make money instead of the other way around. Like,
Right.
so, and these things that they do cost money, right? Like, for example, freedom is pretty expensive. Like, for you to not have a job at all, it can cost you a lot of money to do that, right? Because not only are you missing out on your steady paycheck, but also now you have to cover your own bills. You have to also figure out a way to keep that money. You're preserving your wealth. So you could do so when you're an entrepreneur and you have different investments. Absolutely, you could do so. But until then, you'll need a plan, a solid plan to get there. And I've noticed that, like, if I say, for example, I want to talk to this client and my goal is to get money out of them, versus I want to talk to this client to help them reach their
Yeah.
next goal. So that way they can tell people that I helped them reach their next goals. Two completely different scenarios.
Two different
Um,
mindsets.
two different mindsets.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And, this goes back to what I was saying about the ethical business.
Hmm.
If you're just in it to, make the money and flash the money, then you're on a journey of self-discovery and you're looking on the outside instead of the
Hmm.
inside. It's like, ask your why. Why are you wanting to do what you're doing?
Yeah. Hmm.
Right? And if it is to be of service to people, to help people in their aspect of their journey of life, for other people to be successful because of your services, then you're on the right frequency. And it's so rewarding. Never mind the paycheck, but to see that you've advised somebody financially and then they've struck that success and they've struck that freedom where they can afford their lifestyle, where they can afford those extras in life, and they are successful in their business. It's not only great as a paycheck for you, but it's so utterly rewarding to see those people succeed.
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly, absolutely, exactly. It makes your job more fulfilling because let's just say it was all about the money and you do get the money. Now what? Like the fact that you were just chasing the money, it kind of dilutes the ethical part of your business, the authenticity of your business. Like I had one time a client, like I also do like a lot of like insurance related things within financial strategies, and I had a client, I helped him with his Medicare plan, and then he referred somebody to me, and then when I got on the phone with the referral, and I remember that day specifically, like I was struggling financially that day, and I was thinking about bills, and like,
Mhm.
and I was like, I'll just, to another client call, and then this client was like, yeah, the client who referred me told me about you, and he said that you saved his life, like you helped him with his insurance plan,
Yes.
and the insurance plan was so good, he had to go through like open heart surgery, and didn't have to pay any money out of pocket, and you really helped him out a lot. And in my head, I was like, wow, that was all worth it. Like for me to hear
Absolutely.
that, it
That's
was
the
worth it.
abundance. That's the
Yeah,
abundance, right?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people have got this thing in their head that the more dollars you have in your hand is the abundance. The enrichment of heart and soul and service is where the abundance is. Money, again, is just that tool to afford you to live your own life. That's and
Mhm.
afford you to grow. We've got to remember that money is that tool. It is an instrument. You're a violinist. The money is the violinist. How you play it and how enriching those sounds are from that violin is up to your heart and soul and your intent. It
Mhm.
isn't the violin is just a piece of wooden strings,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
Until you play it with that heart. And I think this is something I say all over again. I don't care what you're doing in life, but
Mhm.
if it comes from the heart, if it comes from a place that I want to be of service to people, to help people have a better life through my services, then you're in the right mind and heart set. And
Mhm.
whether you have ups and downs, I guarantee you will still be there at the end of the day because your heart's in the right place.
Mhm. Exactly.
So what kind of services are you offering people? I know we talked in the bio there about real estate as well, and you were talking
Mhm.
about medical insurance and things like this. So kind of give us a list of the type of services you do.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I kind of have it's a company called Financial Asset Protection. So it's a financial services firm, and within that firm, we do a couple of things. We have a financial planning section where we do financial planning, financial counseling, budgeting, coaching, kind of any financial problems you're having, we can help you address them. We do also investments, like if you wanted to invest a sum of money or periodically, we can help you find suitable investments for you for at your best interest. And then we also have like an insurance part. We could do like insurance, all types of different insurance, like health insurance and Medicare. We work in all 50 US states, and then we kind of integrate these and connect these plans together. So it's not just one over the other. It's kind of like connected. And then we also have referral partners with like accountants and lawyers because we don't do any legal advice or tax advice. We have that with other professionals we work with, and then they also work with in our strategy. So if you need help planning your next financial move or some sort of insurance strategy or risk management strategy, reach out to us. You can go to thinkinglikeabank.com and schedule an appointment there.
And tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, it's called Thinking Like a Bank, and we're launching I believe, episode 92 tomorrow. And we talk about strategies like how to save more money, how to save on taxes, how to invest passively into businesses, specifically how to invest passively into real estate, the benefits of doing so, how to find more time. We also do a lot of mindset coaching and the mindset aspect of business. So I've interviewed a lot of life coaches on the podcast. We talk about different ways of unlocking like that inner CEO of you, from, put the money on the side, put the taxes, the real estate strategy all down the side, but really focus on you as a human being and your next potential, like finding that DNA within you that like you are the next, CEO that you're dreaming to be, but how do you bring that person out of you? It's not the spreadsheets or the income
Yes.
statements or the balance sheets. It's the way you feel about yourself. 80% of your success is your opinion of yourself and nothing else. But the way you view yourself and how high you view yourself is your ability to reach your self-esteem and self-confidence.
I 100% agree. When we see, you mentioned this earlier, whether somebody is, got all the credentials and the labels behind them, or
Mhm.
somebody that has, life experience, or has learned X, Y, and Z and the skills and the tools, but their intent from the heart and soul to serve you
Mhm.
is so enriching that you can't help but want to be with that person. You want someone when you're working with them to feel you're a friend,
Mhm.
right? Oh no, just my lawyer, just my financial advisor. No, you want to know, because you are trusting somebody very intimately with your money, right? With every aspects of your money. So you want to know you can look at this person in the eye and call them a friend.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's essential in business today that that we look at that and that trust factor there, that you really do have you really do care about me and my success, and it's in your hands and I trust you, because there is this relationship between us where it's not just about business, it's about you care for my success.
Exactly. 100% true. Mhm.
And that's where we're at nowadays, isn't it? It's extremely important, I think, for us to actually understand we're in competition with trillions of other people,
Yes. Mhm.
doing the same thing. I started podcasting 11 years ago. Even when I first started podcasting, I was on a different network and I didn't even know what a podcast was. It was something I had to learn. And since then, everything, my own network, I've had to learn a great deal. And I think that's something we also have to remember. Times change. Certainly, marketing has changed, interaction has changed, and that we are selling ourselves before we're selling our services. So the more authentic you are and the more you reach out to the people and the more that you share of yourself, the more people are going to feel, I resonate with this person. I want to do business with them. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you're so right. It's about selling yourself, and not just the product or service you
Mm-hmm.
have, but you as a person. Because ultimately, especially in the professional business world, like coaching, insurance, financial planning, accounting, being a lawyer, those are all personality based industries. It's based off of who you are. They don't really care about the software you're using or which office you have or the technology you're using or the name of your company or the
Mm-hmm.
logo of it. All those things are irrelevant at that point. It's about the person and really who they and then them having your best interests in play. Um, do they really care about you as a person? I think that's all. That's what will win you the most
Yes.
business.
Yes. And the same goes for the people that you are going to contract out to or put
Mhm.
under your umbrella. I want your business to succeed. It isn't just about me aligning with you
Mhm.
on this, is that I want to know I can refer you. to other people because I have a relationship with you. I trust you. I know that you are in the same as me of wanting to really serve your clientele. And when you have that team of people where they're all independents, all
Yes.
different instrumentalists, but they've come together as one orchestra, the music you can make can be absolutely fantastic, right? And the
So true.
support for one another. That's the thing. That's, we became so very, me, myself, and I don't give a damn about you.
Yes.
And now we're realizing that when we support one another in our collaborations, when we're behind each other, whether somebody's going through difficulty or whether going for celebration, we're there for one another. All we're doing is rooting deeper and making that tree trunk stronger and those branches more flexible.
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, it's so important. So the site again is
Thinkinglikeabank.com.
right. And then you've got finance of sorry,
Finassetprotection.com is the name of the other website, but they connect together. So it's finassetprotection.com or thinkinglikeabank.com. I just say thinkinglikeabank.com because I think more people remember that. So thinkinglikeabank.com is how you can connect with me.
And the podcast, where can they find that?
Yeah, thinkinglikeabank.com. So you can find
Everything
everything.
is
You can
all
find
there.
my podcast, LinkedIn, YouTube channel, email address, calendar booking link. Everything is found at thinkinglikeabank.com.
Excellent. And yeah, I know from many, many people, including myself, the money aspect of it, it is completely something that is, as I said, it's a foreign language to me. I just don't get it. It's not the way my mind is wired. And I'm part dyslexic too, so numbers change and move around. So, but for a lot of people, they have a passion and they have a gift, and it's like, you want me to do a financial plan? And it's intimidating. So when they find that someone who says, yes, it's okay, I've got your hand. We're going to do it one step at a time. We're going to make it very easy so you can see exactly where it's all compartmentalized and that it's an easy plan for you to follow so you can concentrate on what you do best.
Exactly. Yes. So true.
And that's what we need. Someone who listens, someone who cares, and someone who wants to be with us long term. Right?
Absolutely.
Very
Yes.
important. Thank you so much for sharing with us here today.
Yes,
A
sir.
lot to be learned, and I know there's an awful lot of people branching out on their business and ill prepared for what's to come, putting money out all the time on advertising and not getting the return, not most certainly cushioning for the future and the transitions or the expansion or even their pension. Or their medical, these are things that I'll get to it later. But if you get to it at the ground floor and you know exactly where it is on your chart, then it just makes it so much easier to cope with as you grow.
Exactly. Thank you, Sarah, for having me on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. And to everyone else out there, please don't be intimidated if you're wanting to start your own business. But just as you do with the building blocks of a house, you've got to know the plan. You've got to know where everything goes, and you've got to know where the best expenses are. So please reach out to someone like Sarry who can help you lay out that plan so you can grow more confidently and without the intimidation of like, what do I do with the money? So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.